Hey, you guys. It's your girl, Latanya Vibes, host of Infused Queen Tea Podcast, and we are rolling with Latanya Vibes. Let us take our seats in the congregation. Hello, hello. Let me stop playing in y'all's face. I know it's been a long time since you've seen this beautiful face, this amazing presence, but I'm back. But I'm back. And I'm back, of course, with intentional messages. I believe at this point, y'all know everything that I have to say. I mean what I say, and I hope that it's creating impact. And I'm not going to speak unless it requires that. If it's going to come to that action, if it's not coming to that action, then like I just been bowing out of a lot of conversations, like especially with like having a podcast and cultivating like what you want to talk about each week. It's one of those things where you can either a which also today's whole episode kind of encompasses what I'm talking about right now. I can either a go with emotion and just cover all the celebrity gossip and all these outlandish, it's not really outlandish, all these stories that have been coming to pass. There's just so many headlines that you could cover, including aliens at this point. That it's like you have so many things that you can dwell on and make points and create more theories and like find other subliminal messages behind that. Like, I just feel like, nah, y'all don't need me to do it. Y'all got enough people out here doing that. So I kind of just want to use my platform as a space to, when I have like my own season that I finally make it through, or if I'm going through something that I feel like maybe it's a cycle that I have already kind of picked up a few of my little tools in the past season of me going through it, that I'm like, okay, yo, so now I'm going through it again. And let me tell y'all like the adverse. Like I used to handle it by crashing out, but now look, I crash out less. I get fender benders. But no, let's get into it. Today's episode title is FOMO. Am I really missing out? Whoa, y'all like that? FOMO. Am I really missing out? And I really had to get into it because, like, so today I had woke up with the intention of doing an episode, and I had already, of course, Latanya Love outline. I have drafted several outlines of different conversations I want to have with different like conversation points and things that I feel like are necessary. Necesito. I kind of always draft up little rough drafts of conversations that I feel like, oh, yo, that would be dope to cover. Or like, girl, you definitely got your medals in this. Go ahead and tell the girlies. Tell the girlies just in case they don't know. Because maybe you know something they don't know, or maybe vice versa, right? Like, y'all can educate me. But in that, I realized that social media played a lot in also like the conversations I was going to choose to do. But basically, how the whole topic of today came about was as I was preparing to do one episode, and it was more about like your capacity, understanding your capacity, understanding when you don't have it, and then learning how to navigate making people aware in your inner circle, and also coming up with a process for you to use like while you're in those states of full zero capacity levels. Okay, so like I was going to cover something like that because I've had a few different situations that highlighted that I also was not being a steward of my own capacity. So that's why I was like going into that. But then I woke up and I did the one thing that I promised myself not to do, which is get on social media. And when I got on social media, it did exactly what it was intended to do, which is create confusion, comparison, or chaos in my own little brain and world that I eventually attracted and created in my own reality for myself, to where I have no one else to blame but myself. But in that, as I'm about to prepare, I'm looking at stuff on social media, and the thief of, or the art of comparison sunk in. And I realized that a lot of times whenever you feel like you're comparing yourself, it's also a way of you feeling like you're missing out. Sometimes it kind of manifest itself in a way of, it doesn't always mean you're comparing yourself or you're coming off as envious of somebody, but it could be that like you're not a part of certain groups that you were a part of anymore, or maybe the things that you used to find fun, you kind of completely have let that go. And now it's kind of been some time since you've been a part of it. And even maybe you have people like attached to those ways or those habits and hobbies that you had, to where now that you're in the season of not doing that, and you kind of do that little look back, one of those things where they say as you're moving forward, don't look back. You do one of these. You try to look over the shoulder without looking over the shoulder, but God's like, girl, I already caught you. You caught lacking, but you still be like, nah, I'm not really looking for real. And then you still like over the shoulder with it. Yeah, I did one of those look over the shoulder moments, okay? And I've had several seasons where I've done that. And I realized the fear of missing out, the FOMO that I thought I was experiencing, was honestly just an alert to myself. It was a come to yourself moment, that I wasn't living in my life experiences of what I desire for myself. And so as you sit back and you're watching everybody else do things, it's not that you're jealous, not that you're envious, not that you feel like you deserve it more than someone else. Is that these people are showing you by living in their own experience that you are not doing that. And your spirit is bothered by that. Oh, yeah, we hate accountability, but I'm your girl when it comes to that. I'm your girl when it comes to that, because I like the way that I'm speaking on the mic, the way that I like share the podcast. These are ways, like even the kookiness, like where I'll be getting hella serious and then I'll be switching off. That is how I talk to myself. And so I realized that how I've talked to myself has genuinely worked. And also I've had to do some fine tuning, because I was getting reckless at the mouth. How I talk on the podcast is not as reckless as I talked to myself in the past. And the past is probably just like even last week, I said something to myself. I was like, damn, girl, I thought you said you was done talking like that. But no, getting back at hand. So I kind of like sat down today as I was basically preparing, and I started having this FOMO. I started looking at stories. And when I was looking at the stories, I realized there was a lot of people where I started thinking about when I was a part of their life and the things that we did, and kind of like harnessing false. Because I'm gonna be honest, when you in the FOMO state of mind, you is delulu. You have to realize that you have to correlate the state of mind of FOMO to delusional, because a lot of the times you're living in a state of delusion. And a lot of people, the people that you're either having these perceptions about, the people that are like inciting this type of energy in you, are not even aware. Are not even aware. Because I've been on both sides. I've been the girl in the space of having the FOMO, but I've also been the girl on the opposite end where somebody has projected a FOMO on me. I'll be like, hold on. Because I didn't even know you feel like that. Nor did I realize me finally getting out of the state of FOMO. And that's, we're going to get into that later. But I had to realize, and the reason why I say I could speak from both spaces, because there was a time when I was living in FOMO. And when I finally freed myself of the FOMO mentality, that's whenever I started to live myself. And then I started to understand why the people that I was over here having this like, oh, the people who inspired, like incited this inspiration in me to finally do the shit myself instead of having the FOMO mindset. I realized that I understood why they do the things that they do, because when I started stepping into that mind frame and the way of doing those things, I realized that other people started projecting they shit on me. And what I mean by that is the things that I was like, you know what? Well, I kind of tested this little theory with myself, and I realized I really can do a lot more than what I've done, or I can live a different route, and I can choose to be a whole nother Latanya tomorrow. I don't even have to be Latanya. I could be Veronica. Okay? I could be anybody I need to be. But I just realized that I would have to tell people like, girl, as you were worried about me, you could just be living your own life. But then I had to have this level of grace, which is why God allowed me to go through those things, to have a level of grace and humility and humbleness to come to people and let them know that like, you good. But I'm going to be the friend to let you know, babes, you're not missing out. You're just not even spending the time you need to live out what you want to. And you're spending more time absorbing and consuming what other people are doing, that your spirit is alarming you an emotion that you definitely gonna resonate and see to the front of, you're gonna allow that FOMO to come to the like front. You're gonna come to, through jealousy, through envy, through the way you talk to the people that are doing the things that you don't want to do, or the things that you want to do. Sorry, like when you start to see how you interacted with them, you'll see that the FOMO is very much present, and it's very much you are bothered by the spirit at this point, because now what was operating and manifested in the spiritual realm, that envy, the jealousy, that dang, I wish I would, instead of the action of you just doing, right? It manifests from that spiritual realm to the physical realm, which is where you start to see conflict in your relationships, or people just don't want to be around you because it's like, girl, I can't even tell you nothing positive going on because I feel like you about to ruin that shit with something negative. And I love myself and I love you enough just not even bring that scenario up. And so, in that's kind of how I navigated with FOMO. And I decided that instead of me talking about capacity, because baby, capacity will be a conversation. Today is not the conversation of that. Today, FOMO needs to be addressed because you're really not missing out. As I sat there and I was just basically looking at everybody, all the different people I follow, because listen, it's a mixture. It's a mixture of different beings. And as I'm watching certain things, I realized, like, for one, as I'm sitting here watching y'all shit, I could just definitely be up doing what I want to do, rather that be what I be doing, which is I'll be doing my IG story performances. If you ever want to see a nice little visual performance and you love the Y2K tunes all the way to, I want to say, early pre-COVID. If you love those type of tunes, I'm your girl. Tune into IG Live Mondays. Or not IG Live, sorry, I lied to you. IG Stories, Monday mornings, delivering the performance at all times. But no. As I was sitting there, like, for one, I'm watching these people and how did it, and it was so quick. It was maybe only 5 people. By the time I got through 5 circles, I started comparing. And I'm like, girl, first of all, you've been too happy about how your life has turned out. You've been in motion, making things happen that is outside of your wildest perception, and things that I have never seen around me, within me, and in front of me happen. And so with that, who? God delivered you from what? For you to be thinking about, huh? And so we're going to talk about, these are like, and I brought the book out. We bringing notes. Today, 3 things I want to cover, which I think I kind of covered the first one, which is, 1, how social media is the number 1 catalyst for your FOMO mindset, comparing yourself economically, by social status, and by life experiences. The second thing I want to cover is maybe you aren't delayed. And this is from Pastor Flowers. If you get in your Jerry Flowers movement, right, and you go ahead and subscribe to the tube, get on your YouTube and you subscribe, he'll give you some motivational. First of all, he has Therapy Thursdays, and I think he's finishing up a cheat code series. And babe, when I tell you when I need to be called to go in the best way and uplifted in the spirit, Jerry Flowers is the guy. So there was a Therapy Thursday, I think it was maybe last week or the one prior, where he covered this. Maybe you aren't delayed. You've just put a timeline / deadline on your blessings and goals. And when he said it is, maybe God isn't delaying anything. That's his actual words. Maybe God is not delaying things. Maybe you have put a deadline on those blessings. And I kind of took that same narrative and I decided that you can use those in the physical and the spiritual. Okay. In the spiritual, I kind of look at it as your blessings. And then I added the physical, your goals. And the reason why I said those two, and then also timeline and deadline. Timeline, I believe that we all live through seasons and phases. And sometimes we choose the timeline we desire for certain things. Like when I wanted to open that store, I chose what year, what date, what everything, right? And God allowed it to happen. But I also was not prepared. Like a bitch thought I was, okay? I would just be very much clear. I was not prepared. I was not prepared. And then he showed me in so many much more ways that, babe, what you thought, your intellect, your intelligence, the knowledge that you have consumed does not actually fit where you have grown spiritually, because you might have grown here when it comes to knowledge, but when it comes to your spiritual growth, babe, it's giving kindergartner, You over here testing that 12th grade level when it comes to knowledge, but or not even 12th grade, babe, it's giving associate's degree of knowledge. Okay? But then you operating at a kindergarten level when it comes to the spiritual growth. And then you want to get mad whenever you get up in that room and you're like, damn, why didn't it even last more than 3, 4, 5 weeks? It's because, babes, you wasn't prepared for that season. And this is why it would have seemed delayed in the beginning. If I would have actually took my time, I would have felt delayed, but it was because I did put an actual deadline on what I asked God to deliver. And if I just would have operated and allowed him to make moves, which even whenever you do fall, even within the weapon, there is a blessing. Okay. So even though I got my ass whipped with a whole bunch of different lessons, it allowed me, first, it gave me the blueprint of what I actually needed to go back and work on. 2, it allowed a lot of parts of Latanya that needed to die to actually go deceased. Not kind of like, raise up like the dead, like they Jesus Christ, because they're not. My demons be raising up like Jesus Christ. I be having to let them, and I call them demons because that's what it is. I be letting demons raise up. I be like, chill out. Sit down, babes. Sit down. You need to die. Actually, I need to cast it out. Cast it down. Bind it up and cast it down. But let's get back into I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Number 3. Number 3 is do not suppress FOMO, progress through it. Take everything and everyone out of the equation. When you realize FOMO isn't necessarily the person or the experience, and it has more to do with you not personally doing the things that you desire, turn this weapon, into a tool. And so the call to action with all 3 of those is, when FOMO occurs, it's a chance to realign with yourself and start to focus on your season, for one. So basically become aware of the actual season that you're in, and then not the season of others. And it's also a time to check in with what you actually want for yourself. I believe sometimes, like, especially when we were children, I had this perception or concept to life where I made goals when I was a 10-year-old girl that don't align with the actual desires and pursuits of my heart now. Okay. And they do in a sense, but they don't. And what I mean by is, there's some promises I made to myself when I was a child that it's okay to tell that little girl, 10-year-old Tanya, hey, babe, no, we're not doing that. I got something even better for you. It's kind of like give her something better and like replacing it. Because sometimes it's like when you are telling yourself no, it's like telling that little girl no. When I tell her, like, yeah, we're not going to do that. I know back in the day, you used to feel like you was going to be on the Spice Girls. You want to be the new edition. They was going to do one of the shows, kind of like America's Next Top Model. You was going to join the Spice Girls. You was going to be the new Crazy Spice. I don't even know what spice I was going to be, but I was about to be Spicy Spice, okay? I just know that there's a lot of promises I made myself in those seasons that don't necessarily resonate with who I am. And instead of allowing them to die and giving them a reasoning of why I'm letting it go and truly letting those go, I kind of held those as little nicks and chips on my shoulders of why I haven't showed up or did the things I wanted to do, to where those are my reasons of why I'm not still pursuing and trying new things and creating new dreams for myself. Because I feel like you should create new dreams. It's like, damn, like when you play Sims, let's get into it. There's a lot of Sim girlies out here, like more than we like to expect, okay? And knowing the Sim girlies, how many times do you create a new home and household? How many times have you killed off your Sim? Okay. You get the concept of life if you know how to navigate Sims in that manner. How many times have you literally put a Sim in a pool, removed a ladder, and then jumped towns? Now you a new crest. Now you got a new husband. Secret family across the street. I'm not saying go that far and toxic, but I'm just saying the same way they have the free will in Sims, and you have the will to create different lives and literally completely forget and act like that other life does not matter and start anew. Same concept, ladies. Stop. So let's get back to number 1, how I was talking about how social media is the number 1 catalyst to FOMO. And you can compare yourself economically by social media or social status, meaning like your rank in society, I guess, based off of your social groups and the things that you're a part of. and then by life experiences. And what I meant by that, which I kind of already touched on, the reason why I even dropped this pod was because I started this morning off feeling great, amazing, walking in my purpose. Already planned the night before, I'm walking in my purpose today. And it took literally 10 minutes and 5 circles on the story to get me to be like, you know what? You ain't been doing shit. Do you know how insane that is? How do you literally just negate months, not months, years, decades now? Your girl done been here 3 decades, decades of time based off of 5 circles of 5 different people telling a story that I have no actual context to. Okay? And the ways, and the reason why I wrote the ones that I wrote is like economically. For the longest, I remember even when I was back home, I always had felt like I was just impoverished. Okay. And this is me calling myself out. I called myself impoverished. And in a lot of ways, I did live less struggle. But the people that I used to compare myself to, my mom and my family to, right? Especially when I was in my teen years, high school, middle school, they was just as broke or even more broke than I was. And I'm not even just talking about financially. I'm talking about mindset. I'm talking about in love. I'm talking about in community. Where I was actually full and rich, I literally took that shit for granted. Okay, not only took it for granted, I compared because somebody's mama was buying them J's and Hollister and Abercrombie and Fetch and letting them go to all the basketball, football games and letting them hang out with the Knicks. The reason why is because she wasn't giving them time. Where my mom was giving up all her damn time, she was clocked in the back with us, all 5, right? And so, like in those moments, though I would compare and make this and put this person on a pillar economically, not even really knowing what they're going through. My mom was cooking 5-course meals 3 times a day, okay? Making it $10 feed motherfucking 6 people in a household, okay? Never skipping a meal. And I would compare it to the people who got to go to Applebee's every night. And I'd be like, well, damn, at least their parents could take them out. You got a mom that's cooking from the soul. You never got to miss a meal. Okay, a quality meal is not based off of how much money my mama got paid. And there was a comparison factor, okay? And I just took it down to childhood for the girls that's in high school right now. I want to cover all bases. I remember there was a time where I was comparing myself to the girls who got to go out and do everything. Lo and behold, let's fast forward. I'm 30 and I'm going to speak on it. A lot of them women were being raped and touched by men who had no business dealing with high school girls. So what was I comparing myself to when my mama told me to sit my ass in the house and play some Just Dance and be safe, and you out here sneak freaking? And I'm putting myself down as a person. I realize that I'm fulfilled in this moment. I am at peace. I have everything that a lot of people would just want 10 minutes of. And I was comparing and like literally training myself out. And this is why I'm saying all these things, is because sometimes we like to think of FOMO as just like it's a state of mind. Babe, if you don't get a handle on it before it gets a handle on you, it will have you missing out. Because as you were fearing missing out on other people's experiences, you're actually missing out on your own. And we like to think that time is like, oh yeah, time is not a concept. It's not. Yeah, but when you start to sit back and you're like, oh, out of those 10 years, I maybe seen these people who mean the most to me only maybe 5 times. But I spent more time around trying to prove to some motherfuckers who don't even care about me, could care, and probably will include me in a chapter when they talk about themselves, right? To please them and put myself on their radar and also give myself gratification from what? Or validation from who? And so, like, I remember even just down to how I provided for my children. Like, I remember, now this is switching from the high school girlie, the young girlies, to the girlies that's my age and my caliber. There was a time where I used to allow, like, the working moms. I remember when I was a stay-at-home mom. I remember everybody out going to get their money and everything. I felt like I was missing out. Why the hell am I here spending all this time with the kids? And I technically make the most money, so I should be the one that work. I know that he could make some money, but like we can have a better lifestyle if I work. Comparing myself, because at the end of the day, your girl was sitting her black ass at home with them babies and doing my job, which was pouring into my children, especially at the age they were. But I didn't see it that way because I was comparing myself to the working moms. Then listen. Them hoes taught me how to sit my ass. I should have learned. I should have sat there with whatever type of salary that nigga had coming in and been humble. And been humble. But listen, God didn't have that for me. God had more for me. I just clearly. But fast forward. Now I get back in the working girlies. Now I'm like, yes, girl. Now I'm jealous of the stay-at-home moms. I'm like, dang. I just want to stay home and teach my kids. I'll be a stay-at-home teacher. I want to be a homeschool mom. Comparing myself. Because when I was watching the girls working and being a mom, I felt like I was less than. Then I become the girl working. Now I feel like I'm less than because why don't I get to sit there? Why didn't I do what I needed to do? Right? Creating some more false shit because clearly these are all like stories that are just being made up as we go, honey. These stories didn't come to life until I gave them life. And so I realized as I was a working mom and I was comparing myself to those other moms, I had to get out of that quickly because I was robbing myself of motherhood. And I was robbing myself of myself because like a lot of times they always go, well, all moms lose their self. No, the reason why there's such a loss in self, especially as a mom, is because as soon, and I swear to God, soon as the word get out that you're pregnant, it's like they compare you to what society believes a mother is. Then we have people projecting their own mother wounds on you. Then you got the other ones projecting they own narcissistic measures of who they are. Well, my mom did this. And like all those other shit, right? Like you realize then you just start becoming everyone's comparison, which makes you feel like you lost yourself, like genuinely. Because I'm like, damn, I can't live up to this expectation, but I also can't be lower than this. Because if I go bottom of the barrel, then I'm no better than so and so. What the fuck? Why? What does her motherhood got to do with mine? We mothering two different children. I know. We all got some hybrid kids, okay? But just that was robbing me of motherhood. And then I think I also touched on, and then I said life experiences. Social media has a way of waking up one minute, I had nothing, I was on the side of the road. Today I got every damn thing, 6-figure, come get my motherfucking workshop, my master class, because I made it from nothing. I got 6 figures. Boom. And then now you sitting there as the entrepreneur who's been building your brand for the last 6 years, authentically as you should be, and still continue to follow that course. Latanya is going to say that. Continue to follow your path, your course, not other people's master classes. But you'll get in the thing of where you're starting to compare your life experiences and how far you're going and what you consider to be accomplishments. And then when you realize that you're accepting and adopting what society says is accomplishments and you chasing after them, that fear of missing out, right? The going to college and not like, babe, I am a whole catalyst of do not put your name on that dotted line unless you actually know what you want to pursue at that time and you're willing to give it the next 5 years of your life. Like with any goal that is going to require that much time, that much money, that much resources, and that much energy, I realized if you're not willing to at least put in 5 years of your time to really see it through, and I mean persevere through it. I'm not talking about just the positive great years or even the first year when you're getting just the milestone goals. No, I'm talking about the perseverance of whenever you genuinely want to let it go. What is that connection that keeps you going to make sure you see it all the way through? Like those are the things that like I was robbing myself of when I was operating in the FOMO spirit. Okay? So yeah, that just kind of like even just like a lot of people, I feel like the reason why they go to the places that they travel to is because they've seen someone else go and then they feel like they need to have that experience to have that equate of status or to be able to be like, oh yeah, we did that too. Instead of being like, no, like I actually want to create an experience based off of what I genuinely enjoy, what brings me genuine peace. Because when you ask people that, people genuinely can't tell you. They give you the same generic ass answers, which makes me realize a lot of us are just operating in the fear of missing out mindset. Like we even cater our conversations at this point to make sure that we can fit into the conversation because we don't want to miss out on being someone that can provide input to a conversation or feel like valuable to a conversation. So that's how far that FOMO be getting, bruh. Going to my second point, which was maybe you aren't delayed, you just been putting your blessings and your goals on a timeline or a deadline. So when Pastor Flowers said this, he stopped my whole morning. I was literally getting ready in the morning one day, and I was listening to his sermons. I think they were just playing on the back end because it was like a few I had in watch list or watched later on YouTube. That I was just like, let it flow as I'm getting ready for work. And so this stopped me in the middle of the hairbrush toothbrush combo. Okay, he said, maybe your prayers and your blessings are not delayed. Maybe they seem delayed because you put them on a timeline. And when I tell you, he made me do a run from the front to the back to the front to the back of the house, to the front to the back. And then I had to listen to the sermon one more time on the way to work just to make sure I got clarity on exactly what he said. I just want to make it very plain and clear with myself that I heard what I heard, so I can't act like I didn't understand, knocking out that ignorance. And so when he said that, I realized that, like I said, in a lot of seasons, I noticed that, especially when it's something I wanted so bad and it literally falls through, it's because I was operating on my timeline. And by my timeline means I did not just genuinely I'm never present. I'm never present. I'm always either 5, 6, 7 years ahead of myself, or I'm 2 steps ahead of the experience or situation I'm in, like always trying to navigate. Okay, so I already see how this is toning in. I got to be here with it because I already see how this is not like always needed. Never here. Never here is basically the point of this. I'm never here. I'm always everywhere else. And FOMO had me realize that, like, in those moments, the reason why I was operating that way is because, like I said, I wanted to be being received well, and I wanted to everyone to understand what I was doing, why I was doing it. And that FOMO will have you literally choose distracting situations instead of actually operating and creating new experiences for yourself, new life experiences for yourself. Um, One of the biggest delays that I recently received that I realized was my fault, and it came with fear of missing out, was me transitioning, because I've had several ventures. I want to say like 3 ventures that I've been very, very like passionate about and wanting to pour into for the last 4 years. And I had to kind of sit down this year because I realized I want to be like a lot of other entrepreneurs, right? And juggle all the hats and have 6 things like going at one time, which is that comparison thing. Because how do I know that these things are actually being done? How do I know that this is a 1-person team? Why am I literally putting what I'm doing to what they're doing and saying these are the milestones that make sense for myself when it's not the same damn thing at all? Okay, it's never the same thing. And I remember I've been really passionate about the community service, or the basically the nonprofit organization. And that's been cooking since 2021, 2022. Okay. It is just now taking me until the end of 2024 for me to, for one, well, let me not downplay what I did. Let me not downplay myself in the same thing. Because that's how that FOMO does. It makes you downplay what the fuck you've been doing. All year I've been operating and doing things to align myself to where my personal life aligns with what I want to do in all other facets of my life. And for the longest time, I kept like jumping the gun, meaning I would want to do all these other areas. I would want to do all these other projects. I would want to do all these other collabs. But the main problem that I had was dealing with the personal things in my life, or the things in my life that needed structure first so that I could allow new opportunities. And a lot of times I would allow people to give their own input about what they feel like I should be doing, and telling me, hey, girl, you're missing out on this. Like, this is your only time. Why? What are you waiting for? Somebody else is going to take this moment. And I rushed into a lot of experiences, a lot of collaborations, a lot of projects that were so unnecessary out of the fear of missing out. I only took on certain things out of the fear of missing out. And once I went through those things, meaning a lot of times when God allowed me to be in the room that I complained and cried and begged to be in, and it wasn't what it was all cracked up to be, and now the veil is removed, kind of like all the situations that we got going on with celebrity news and gossip, like I was mentioning earlier. The veil is being removed, and when I mean the veil is being removed, now that you take out the glitz and glamour, right? and you're just set with the facts of what things are going on and what's transpiring, you realize it's not as beautiful. What glitters ain't always gold. The grass ain't always greener. And sometimes you're lucky and you're blessed enough to where you didn't get like your own path and mission and plan was not intervened or thrown off or destroyed because you decided to take that experience or that opportunity. It became one of those like building blocks for you. But there's a lot of people where that decision, that FOMO, was their demise. And I'm sorry, my life is not worth a feeling of missing out. You're not missing out. That's the whole point. I know I just said it in so many different ways, and I have said it in variables and different ideologies and perspectives. But like, no, the whole point is you're not missing out. Even when it takes you a little bit longer, there's a reason why it takes you a little bit longer. It's because while that person might be in the season of restoration, and a lot of times, just because you see the fruit, and this is what they be talking about at church, I know y'all don't want to hear that. Y'all love to, oh no, she done brought up church. We cannot hear what she got to say. No, you need to hear what I got to say. Because I'm telling you, your girl, I used to hopscotch in the church in the world, in the church in the world, in the church in the world, okay? So I know. I can only speak from experience. It is better to have knowledge than wisdom. Wisdom, you gotta go through it to learn. Knowledge you attain from someone else's wisdom, someone else's teachings, okay? But I just remember whenever I would put myself in a situation like, for instance, cannabis industry. When I first got down here, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just go freestyling it. I'm gonna just wing it, do what Latanya does best. Because I was just having fun with it. When I actually started the whole cannabis content and learning about cultivation and stuff, it was just out of pure interest, pure passion, pure like, I'm intrigued. I want to know something because everybody's been telling me something different. Show me something. Tell me something good. But when I was started doing the content, it was literally just for fun. And then I started getting into the community. I started meeting the people. And at first I was, again, not too worried about it. Like where I'm having fun, these motherfuckers, they not playing. Okay? It's not playing. They was not playing. It's just all I got to say. And as I got more and more involved in the thing, I started taking on some of their personas and stuff into where the content and everything I was making was not fun anymore. And I did all this content so I could be around all these other content creators and shit like that was doing what I love to do. Okay. And I'm over here trying to collab with them. Like, okay, so you building the brand, I'm building the brand, and I'm very much an involved friend. I'm very much your number one cheerleader supporter. So I come through like, what's the business plan? Okay, I'm the Peter on a lot of teams. You tell me where we going, what we doing, and I got you. And if anybody wants to come in, I'm here with the words. Okay, positive or negative. Tell me where we're going. Tell me where we're going. So, anyways, when I was doing all these things and I started getting into it, all these ideologies that I had about what I thought the cannabis community was, what I thought content creation was, what I thought about all these little girl groups that I was like coming upon. When I got into the mix, it wasn't what I thought it was. And I started getting my ass wet spiritually. Because God said, yeah, I told you not to even come over here. I told you wasn't ready for this motherfucking spot, babes. But you just be so gross. You just be so gross. But I'm gonna let you go through this because you the type that even if I put you in a space like this, you're gonna pick up what you need to go to take you to the next level. So I'm gonna let you go through this. This is more like a character development. And so he let me go through it. And in that was my first lesson in FOMO. And I stopped looking like I was missing the fuck out. Every time somebody's like, Latanya, you're always by yourself. Yes. And I love it here. Yeah, you will not come in my life and make me start questioning shit that makes me and brings me peace. Not ever again. I am not missing out on nothing. I'm missing out on the opportunity to be myself, get to know myself, and experience what the world actually has for me. If I got so much time looking from the front, from the back to side to side, and I know I didn't look in all the directions, but you got it. So the main intention, I feel like we covered it, was to expose the false ideologies that we create when comparing your season to someone else's and not fully taking advantage or being fully present in the phase that you're in. And that concludes this episode of Infused Queen Tea Podcast. I didn't think I was going to do it, did ya? I'm going to do it for you. So, I guess I could drop some little gems, let y'all know where we're at. So, I kind of want to go into December. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna just keep it. Let me just see what I do. Let me just see what I do. The next episode that I will be having will be about capacity. Knowing that motherfucker. I'll have the title when I get there. But literally the next topic that we will cover under the podcast will be about capacity. I hope that you guys love this one. In the comments, like, comment, subscribe, because I never say that shit. So like, comment, subscribe, right? But in the comments, can you tell me a time where FOMO fucked you up? You fucked around and you found out due to FOMO. One time, name a time where fear of missing out became fuck around and find out. Share your stories in the comments. I definitely want to hear them. Okay? Love you guys. We'll be back for another episode.